so we're not cheesy.
More and more. Every day, we are living in a binary choice world. It's time for the middle ground with Ben.
Yes, welcome to the middle ground. And we are going to just explain basically what the show is going to be about. I don't really have anything planned specifically for this episode because like I said, it's just an introduction to explain it all. All right, so the Voice of Reason was the previous name, of course, as we know, and I had some problems with that podcast. Well, of course, obviously not a lot of people watched it, but whenever I'd comment on a message on another channel, and I said something people didn't deem to be reasonable, they would give me some crap about it, the username, and one even suggested I change my handle or username because they didn't find me to be a reasonable person. So I'm like, enough of this. I'm not changing it specifically because of that. I mean, I did some thinking about it and someone else inspired me to do it, but that was the impetus, if you will, of the decision to make a change. It all started there and it got it going in my head, even if I was resistant to the idea from the start. And then I got a push from somebody later on telling me it's a good idea to go ahead and just change this. Anyway, so what we have going on with this idea for the new podcast, obviously, is like in the intro there, the announcer tells you we have two binary choices most of the time in this world anymore. Like, okay, so you got Democrat, Republican, black, white, gay, straight, Earth is round, Earth is flat. There's many other things I could say. I'm sure some kind of algorithm is gonna flag me as a flat earther all of a sudden because I said that. We're not talking specifics in this thing, and I don't consider myself a quote unquote flat earther, but I do question everything about our world, and that includes its shape. So just questioning the world's shape can get you labeled as a flat earther, even if you don't commit to that particular stance of it. You see, I'm trying to find the middle ground here, like the name of the show. I'm trying to not just look at the two choices that they want to give us and stick to one of them. That's why I'm neither a Republican or a Democrat. I'm somewhere in the middle. And I don't go by that name. There are more than two choices that you can have. There's more than three sometimes, way more than three. We need to find at least one thing in the middle of the two choices, though, to arrive at a third choice at least. And I want to try to do that with every single episode from this point forward. The problem with that is it's going to take a while to actually get both sides fairly presented in the same episode, which could balloon these episodes way out of control in length. I don't want to make them too long. I've been averaging with the Voice of Reason about it was 20 minutes. It started to get 20 minutes or so, and sometimes it went as long as an hour or even over. Now, what is a good length for an episode? That's the question. A podcast can sometimes be half hour, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes an hour. Some of them go for a couple hours. There's some that go for 4 hours. Where's the middle ground on this? I guess it's up to me. How long do I want them to be? And I'm going to have to decide that. I guess it's going to be topic dependent too. Obviously, if we have two sides to present on a certain topic and then try to find alternatives, we're going to have to probably be very detailed, like I said, and it could make them go on for a while. So maybe an hour is a good target. I would say let me know what you think, but the interaction on this channel is pretty null and void. Honestly, sometimes it feels like I'm just talking to a brick wall. That's why I got upset in that Voice of Reason episode before, where I was like, "Oh, ah, no one listens to this anyway." I'm just gonna be chill about it now. I don't care if anyone listens to this at this point. Maybe down the road someday someone will find it. Maybe it'll take off. But if nothing else, at least it's good for me to talk into a microphone and get my thoughts out there on the chance it could be discovered. The chance that somebody might find what I say useful, especially now that I'm going to actually look at it from 2 points of view to start with, and then again, not to be repetitive, try to find the middle ground. Because once both of these two polar sides are presented to you and they're acknowledged, and I can agree with certain aspects of both sides, possibly, and maybe try to play devil's advocate on the side maybe I don't agree with. Maybe I would agree with neither. But what I think doesn't matter anyway, it's what you think. That's what opinions basically boil down to. Someone else's opinion shouldn't matter to you. What should matter is your own opinion. And more than opinion, what should matter to you are facts, things that are true. I want to try to help find the truth in what we're examining too. I want to come to the best truth we possibly can, the best explanation that we possibly can, the best middle ground that we possibly can, however you want to put it. I want to get there because I think that might be the ticket to waking the world up. I've always had these previous episodes with the idea of like, if I just spout off my opinion, and I present some facts in there, and then I challenge you to do your own research in the episode to look up what I'm saying and find it for yourself, that people would actually do that. But I'm finding more and more that people just want to be spoon fed, which is sad. So to a certain extent, I'm going to do that. To a certain extent, I'm going to spoon feed you what I have personally found about both options, and we're going to go tackle it from there. And then I will interject my own opinion into it. I'll try to come up with a third option, maybe even a fourth option. We can see how long we could take it. But the important thing is not to just be so binary. I'll give you an example. The thing I've noticed in society that has hit me the hardest, or the most obviously, rather, not the hardest, but is this. I'm a big movie fan. I like to watch movies. I like to think that I'm very mild in my criticism. I don't overthink anything when I'm watching movies, and that may be why I am not critical to the point where I go, I don't like this movie. The movie that was closest to that for me would be Inspector Gadget. I watched the Inspector Gadget movie a long time ago when I was younger. Had Matthew Broderick in it, and before that, I'd grown up watching the cartoon. And when the movie came about, you can imagine how disappointed I was. I had this idea in my head that it would be the cartoon in live action, but that's not the way it works. As my mind evolved and my experiences evolved, I came to learn there are different mediums for entertainment, right? Different forms of entertainment. And when you adapt something, you don't always do a one-to-one. You have to make certain decisions. You're not trying to literally put the cartoon on the screen in that case. They weren't. They wanted to make their own version of it. So over time, I accepted that. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, okay, it's still kind of a stupid movie because it doesn't come together very well. But if I look at it as another version of an Inspector Gadget, I can find it more enjoyable if I'm not expecting just the cartoon. So you see right there, I went from disliking something, almost hating it, to kind of finding a middle opinion on it. I didn't go to an extreme. But what's happening nowadays are people are either saying they love a movie or they hate a movie. And they let biases form in their minds that prevents them from watching another movie in that same genre. so they don't expose themselves to the genre that could have a good movie in it. That is that is sad to me, because if we don't expose ourselves to all genres, we don't open our minds up to all things. Because movies can do that for you. They can make you more aware of things and give you new ideas in your head, and don't make you so stuck up in your head that you just refuse to look at something. If you don't ever watch science fiction, for example, your imagination doesn't kick in about the possibilities of what could be beyond what you know. You just stick to the so-called science facts, and there are actually science facts. We've discussed that before. But people have this funny idea that a scientific theory is a fact. It's 100% ironclad true. Like, people talk like the Big Bang is a fact. They talk like it's not a theory to explain how the universe began, because that's all it really is. The fact that the universe began is a fact, but how did it begin? That's the theory. And yes, scientific theory, as I discussed in The Voice of Reason, is something that can help give you the best possible explanation for how the universe began, scientifically speaking, using the facts that we've collected. But the theory itself isn't a fact. If it were a fact, they wouldn't have the word theory on there at all, scientific or not. It would be called a scientific truth or a scientific law or something stronger than a theory. A theory is the weakest out of all the scientific things. It's stronger than most conspiracy theories are, because that type of theory is a different beast. A lot of conspiracy theories, I will admit, have very little to back them. They're the types of things that people just use speculation to come up with. But there are some conspiracy theories that utilize the facts that are right in front of you, that even the mainstream media gives you. And people have put together videos on YouTube with showing you these things, and they've come up with a theory to explain these things that is contrary to what the media would tell you. So you can't very well tell me that all conspiracy theory is just a theory too, in the same exact way. Yes, they all boil down to a theory, because otherwise it wouldn't be a conspiracy theory, it'd be a fact. But in the same way we talk about a scientific theory in the way of conspiracy theory, we should hold more weight on the things that are utilizing facts to back them up. We shouldn't dismiss them outright. Not just because some, if not many, conspiracy theories are not backed by anything. You understand what I mean? Because the equivalent of this would be if we took scientific theories and we treated them the same way, and we dismissed every scientific theory just because one of them didn't pan out. You know what happens when you have a bad scientific theory? They come up with another one, utilizing the new facts that they've discovered. That therefore they can come up with another theory. So, not to get too ranty on this and to hammer home too hard on the conspiracy part, but I'm kind of just weaning this and talking off the top of my head right now, which the side effect can lead to me just ranting too much about one thing and not moving on. So I think, even though we haven't been speaking too long on this episode, we could just end it here, because I think I maybe got my point across on that part of things. But if I were to say anything else about the idea behind this show, it's that my dream would be one day to have an audience that interacts with this show, gives me ideas for shows. Maybe someone would even want to co-host the show with me, so I don't have just me talking. Maybe someone could maybe want to come up with a website for me and and have me have a website presence, or maybe someone would want to create a custom theme song for me, maybe new artwork and stuff. I mean, I did all this on my own. I've done everything on my own since Voice of Reason. I just use OBS Studio to make this easy. I rendered out video files with the intro and the outro. The outro you haven't heard yet, but I will do that as we end it. I picked out a royalty-free song that is perfectly suitable for now, but it's non-commercial. So if I were to ever make any money off of this, the theme song would have to change, or I'd have to pay royalties anyway. I'm not monetizable on this channel because I don't have enough subscribers for that. I'm not eligible for that reason. I'm not monetizable because I'm not willing to play by YouTube's rules on what is safe for topics. Maybe by this new format, I can have more success with that. Because ideally, that's my biggest dream. Because when I went to, before I went to college, there were two things I wanted to do. I had two choices I made. And talking about binary and bringing this full circle, I was in a binary side of my, or kind of mind there. I should have had a third option that might have helped. But I either wanted to go into computers and do something with computers, or I wanted to do something with my voice. Have a radio show, host a radio show. I chose computers. Maybe if I had gone down the other road or found something in between, maybe jumped on the YouTube bandwagon and did this a lot sooner, I could have taken off. Not that I'm regretting anything necessarily. Things are what they are, and I am led to the moment where I am right now. But it would be lovely, it'd be wonderful to be able to sit down in the chair I am right now with the microphone I have, maybe even a better one when the time comes, if the time comes. Because I'm using a Blue Ember right now, which is a great microphone for if you're on a budget. And I'm using a Behringer single channel XLR mixer that I don't even understand what all the dials do on. It's too complex for my needs at the moment even, but I think I got it dialed in so it sounds halfway decent, and I love it a lot better than the Blue Yeti I was using. I still have that Blue Yeti too. That's an idea right there. Maybe if we can get to, like, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers or something like that, I could pick someone at random to give the Blue Yeti to, because I have no use for it anymore. It's just collecting dust, if you will, inside of a cabinet. I don't know if the dust is actually getting there, but I'd be glad to give that away, or any of the other things around here that I don't need, like extra motherboards and, things that are just sitting around doing nothing. I mean, I got a pretty decent motherboard you could build a computer out of if you just had a case, a hard disk, a power supply. Hell, I would even build the computer for you and ship it to you, and I'd finish it. I would put money into it if I could start making money off this channel and doing what I love to do, because I love to talk into this microphone and I love to try to make a difference to the world. It just hasn't panned out that way. So until I get to that point where I can even have those dreams become a reality, I'm just going to sit here, keep talking to the mic and almost be talking to a brick wall. So anyway, we are in the territory right now where I think time to end is now. I think we're approaching the 20-minute mark anyway. And I can't think of anything else to say. So that's my basic idea on what I want to do with this. And it's going to take some time to come up with how I'm going to execute it, because I can switch to my desktop with this program. But I need to have all the materials in front of me and all the research on both sides that are commonly viewed of a topic that I can possibly get, and do it in an hour or less. So I can't go completely exhaustive with it, but I can get the best evidence I've got for both sides, and then we can go from there. But that kind of prep work, considering my schedule, may be something that will make the episode take longer to put together. And my intention is to try to do all of these things, not live, as in streaming, but all in one take. Get comfortable enough with doing what I'm doing now, with I don't have to pre-record myself and cut my audio up so many times to edit what I've said. Because I don't want to do editing, to be honest. I want everything raw and sent out as it is, but I want to be good enough with how I'm controlling everything in OBS to be able to smoothly get to where we need to go in these things. So I have to have it set up just right before I start recording, or we're going to not be so smooth in how it's executed, and that would deter me from feeling like I've accomplished my goal of making this show what I want it to be if I can't be like that. Most people don't try to do all this themselves, though. Most people, and here I am ranting some more, but I might as well. I'm not quite over time. But most people have a producer to help them. Somebody that can run the controls of the show and switch between the screens. And all I would have to do was talk in that instance. So maybe a producer would be a good idea. Somebody that could join me and produce the show. Maybe they could be a co-host too and just be less focused on talking and more on running the show. That would be okay with me. I'm willing to surrender some control of things just so that it can run a little smoother. I'm much better at talking into a mic and not having to focus on switching between screens than trying to do all things at once. But the problem is I don't have anybody around me at the moment that's local to me that I can trust to run the show. It would have to be somebody from online that would do it. And that means I'd have to develop a relationship with somebody and then know I can trust them, because they would have to remote into the computer and handle all that for me. So, anyway, that's the basic idea. And nothing more to say about it. We're going to end the episode. I thank you for listening to the inaugural episode of The Middle Ground with Ben, and sitting through this kind of long-winded 20-minute-ish explanation, which I hope got across what I want the show to be about through to you so that you understand it. If not, then I'm sure I'm going to find out when I listen to it, because it's going up as is. I'm not doing this again, over again. It's going to be what it is. All right. So until the next show, thank you for listening. We'll see you then.